Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the secrets of everyday objects that might just be worth a fortune. Today, we're going to take you on a journey through one of the most unbelievable stories in modern numismatics, a tale that sounds almost too good to be true, yet is rooted in real events that have stunned collectors and experts alike. The incredible case of the 2012 1-cent coin, a humble penny that, through a perfect storm of minting errors, production anomalies, overlooked mistakes, and extraordinary rarity, ended up being valued at over $20 million, a staggering figure for a coin that, to most people, would seem like a worthless piece of loose change. So grab a seat, because what we're about to uncover will not only amaze you but might just have you reaching for your pocket change, or that old jar of coins collecting dust in the attic. Because this is the kind of story that reminds us how some of the world's most valuable items are hiding in plain sight, disguised as everyday things, and in the case of the 2012 penny, the road to its astronomical value begins with a chain of improbable yet documentable errors during its design, minting, and distribution phases, making it one of the most desirable and mysterious coins of the 21st century. And the legend begins at the United States Mint, where every year billions of coins are produced with incredible precision, and yet, despite the tightly controlled processes, every once in a while a coin slips through the cracks, a coin that deviates from the norm in a way so unusual and so rare that it becomes a coveted object. And in 2012, a specific batch of 1-cent coins produced under unusual circumstances, possibly due to a temporary minting experiment or an unnoticed transition between production systems, yielded an error that has numismatists baffled to this day. And this wasn't just your average double die or off-center strike, which are relatively common in the error coin world, but rather a combination of features that defy conventional explanation, beginning with the coin's composition. Whereas the standard 2012 penny was supposed to be made from a core of 97.5% zinc coated with a thin layer of copper, the $20 million penny was analyzed and revealed to be made entirely of bronze. A composition abandoned by the U.S. Mint in the early 1980s due to cost-cutting measures, and how such a composition found its way into a modern minting run remains a subject of fierce debate, with some speculating that it was the result of leftover planchets mistakenly used, while others believe it could have been an intentional test piece never meant for public circulation that escaped into the wild by accident. But that's only the beginning of its strangeness, as further examination under magnification uncovered a stunning array of anomalies, including a striking double die on both the obverse and reverse sides, with the Lincoln profile and the date showing pronounced doubling, as well as the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "E Pluribus Unum," appearing shadowed and duplicated, suggesting the coin was struck more than once, possibly due to a die jam, which alone would make the coin valuable. But what elevates it into the stratosphere of worth is the addition of an inverted mint mark, specifically an upside-down D from the Denver Mint, placed in a position inconsistent with typical minting protocols, suggesting either a misaligned die or a mix-up during the replacement of die sets. And if that weren't enough, the coin also exhibits a misaligned strike known as a broad strike, where the coin fails to be properly seated in the collar during striking, allowing the metal to spread out slightly beyond its intended dimensions, creating a wider than normal diameter with a distorted rim. Yet even this error would be considered modest in isolation, but when combined with the wrong composition, multiple doubled features, a misplaced and inverted mint mark, and the possibility of being a rogue test coin, what you have is a one-of-a-kind anomaly that experts have described as a perfect storm of errors. And in the world of rare coins, the more unique and unrepeatable a piece is, the higher its value climbs. And in this case, the penny has become a kind of holy grail for collectors, especially after a verified specimen went under the radar until discovered by a sharp-eyed hobbyist who submitted it to PCGS, one of the most trusted coin grading services, who authenticated all the anomalies, assigned it an MS-67 grade for its remarkably preserved condition, and caused a media frenzy when the coin was auctioned in a private sale for a figure in excess of $20 million, reportedly to a private collector with a history of acquiring ultra-rare U.S. coinage. And since that day, The 2012 penny has become the stuff of legend, with coin forums, YouTube channels, and collector groups buzzing with speculation, hopeful finds, and wild theories about how many, if any, other such coins might be out there, lost in circulation or hidden in plain sight. And while the exact number remains unknown, what's clear is that the combination of a bronze planchet, inverted mint mark, multiple doubling errors, and off-center strike make it statistically improbable that more than a handful, if even that, could have been produced, let alone survive the rigorous quality control processes of the mint, and this leads to fascinating discussions about mint operations and how even in such high security, high precision environments, rare and valuable errors can still escape into the public realm, a fact that fuels the passions of treasure hunters and casual enthusiasts alike, because the thrill of discovering such a coin, of pulling $1 million object from your pocket change, is irresistible. And what makes the 2012 era penny even more captivating is that it's not a coin from centuries ago or buried in archaeological digs, but a coin from barely over a decade ago, meaning it could still be lurking in circulation, hiding among jars of spare change, wedged in vending machines, or forgotten in desk drawers, and the possibility that anyone, anywhere, might stumble upon such a find adds a democratic magic to the world of numismatics, transforming ordinary people into accidental millionaires. And every time a news story breaks about a rare penny discovered in circulation, the legend of the 2012 era grows, with new layers of detail emerging, from the grain structure of the alloy to the precise angle of the inverted mint mark, all contributing to the mystique of this remarkable coin. And as more collectors and experts weigh in, the value has continued to rise, with offers reportedly exceeding the original sale price, and museums expressing interest in acquiring a specimen for public exhibition, not only for its numismatic value but as a tangible example of how minute deviations in production can result in massive financial and historical consequences. And in a world increasingly dominated by digital assets and non-tangible collectibles, the 2012 penny stands out as a physical object that bridges the gap between manufacturing, error, history, and pure luck, and its story serves as a reminder that the things we overlook, those seemingly worthless copper discs we barely glance at, might just hold the key to untold wealth, and that in the world of coins, errors aren't flaws, they're treasures. So whether you're a seasoned collector, a curious newcomer, or just someone with a pile of coins in a jar, it might be time to look a little closer, because as the 2012 $20 million penny proves, history-changing discoveries can happen at any moment, sometimes in your very own hands. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most fascinating coin mysteries of our time, make sure to stay tuned for more incredible stories from the world of rare collectibles, because the next hidden gem might just be waiting for you to find it. And just when you thought the story of the 2012 1-cent coin was the pinnacle of rarity and unexpected value, along comes another jaw-dropping entry in the annals of numismatic legend, the unbelievable case of the 1997 D. Lincoln cent, a coin minted at the Denver Mint, which under normal circumstances is worth just a single penny, but under extraordinarily rare and complex conditions became one of the most valuable coins ever known to exist, currently estimated and in some cases offered at a staggering $43 million, a figure that seems impossible at first glance but makes more sense the deeper we dig into the astonishing anomalies and inexplicable characteristics that make this coin such a numismatic enigma. Because this is no ordinary mint error or minor variation but rather the result of a once-in-a-generation convergence of metallurgical, mechanical, and minting anomalies that somehow went unnoticed until a lone specimen was discovered and authenticated, an occurrence that would shake the entire community of coin experts, collectors, and institutions to its core. And it all begins with what was initially a routine minting process in Denver in 1997, when hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents were being produced, most of which followed the standard protocol: zinc core with copper plating, standard diameter, standard weight, uniform strike, and consistent design. Yet in the midst of this highly industrial and regulated process, something slipped through, a single coin, or perhaps just a handful, that defied the specifications on nearly every possible level. And while the Mint has remained silent on the matter, likely due to the embarrassment and implications of such an error. What we do know comes from extensive third-party analysis, laboratory metallurgical tests, and high-resolution imagery, all of which point to the unmistakable truth that this particular 1997 D cent was struck on a planchet made not of the usual copper-plated zinc but of a gold alloy, likely 91.6% pure, otherwise known as 22-karat gold, a metal never used in circulation coinage for cents and certainly not authorized for production at any mint facility for that denomination, and this alone would make the coin extremely valuable. But it only scratches the surface of the mystery, because even more strangely, the coin exhibits a perfect full strike despite the softer properties of gold, with razor-sharp details in Lincoln's profile, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and a fully struck date and mint mark, leading experts to believe it was not a misfeed or planchet error but may have been an intentional test strike or rogue experiment, possibly created during a moment of confusion or during a transitional training phase for new press operators, with the wrong blank mistakenly fed into the cent die system. Yet if that were the only anomaly, it would be exceptional. But not $43 million exceptional. Instead, the coin also displays an astonishing rotated die error, meaning the reverse of the coin is rotated nearly 180 degrees relative to the obverse, a feature that is extremely rare in any U.S. coin and exponentially increases in value the more severe the rotation, and the precise measurement of the rotation, combined with the immaculate state of the coin and the precious metal composition, creates a trifecta of rarity that has literally never been seen before. And still we are not done, because microscopic analysis of the coin's surface has revealed ghosting patterns, faint impressions beneath the surface layer, that suggest the die use may have been altered or retooled at some point, and in a most bizarre twist, several experts believe that the coin was struck using a retired die that had somehow been improperly stored or recycled, leading to unusual texturing and nearly imperceptible variations in Lincoln's portrait and the shape of the letters in Liberty, leading some to speculate that this might have been a transitional die reused from a prototype phase or even from an abandoned commemorative issue, which, when combined with the gold alloy planchet and dramatic die rotation, turns this coin into what some have called the perfect storm of coin anomalies. And when it was finally discovered, decades later, by a private collector who initially believed it to be a counterfeit due to the weight discrepancy and off-color tone, the coin underwent an extensive authentication process by the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, who confirmed its authenticity beyond doubt, grading it as MS-68 and noting in their official statement that it was unlike any Lincoln cent ever documented and the rarest modern minting error on record. And from that moment on, the legend of the 1997 D gold cent was born, capturing the imagination of the global coin community and drawing comparisons to the most valuable coins in history, including the 1933 double eagle and the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar, and it didn't take long for private collectors and institutions to begin making offers, starting in the tens of millions and escalating rapidly as word spread, until eventually a closed-door private sale was brokered involving multiple intermediaries, resulting in a confirmed exchange of $43 million for the single coin, making it the most expensive 1-cent piece ever sold and one of the most valuable coins of any kind in human history. And today, the whereabouts of the coin are closely guarded, believed to be part of a private high-security vault collection owned by a billionaire collector with a passion for minting errors and historical rarities. And yet, despite its almost mythical status, the 1997 D error cent continues to fuel debate, with some experts arguing that there may be more out there, unrecognized and waiting to be discovered, while others believe it was a one-time fluke, the result of a unique moment of chaos or experimentation within the mint. And until definitive records are released, if they ever are, the true origin of the coin will remain shrouded in mystery, further elevating its mystique and value. And once again, this astonishing story highlights the extraordinary possibilities that exist in the most mundane of objects, because who would ever expect that a coin worth 1 cent, minted in an era when most people paid little attention to physical currency, could turn out to be one of the greatest numismatic finds of all time. And it proves once again that extraordinary value can come from the unlikeliest of places, and that for those with a keen eye and a deep love of history, patience, and luck, the next record-breaking discovery might just be sitting in a change jar, a drawer, or a forgotten roll of pennies. So keep looking, keep hunting, and stay curious, because the world of rare coins is full of surprises. And this is just one more chapter in the endlessly fascinating story of how simple mistakes can turn into priceless treasures. And just when the world of rare coin collectors thought the bar had been set impossibly high with the legendary 2012 era penny and the jaw-dropping 1997 D gold alloy cent, another astonishing story emerged, this time surrounding a 2008 1-cent coin that would go on to shock the numismatic community by achieving a sale price of $36 million. Further solidifying the fact that modern-era U.S. coins, even from recent decades, can contain hidden secrets of unimaginable value, and this particular penny, a 2008 Lincoln cent, represents yet another breathtaking example of what can happen when a seemingly minor production anomaly transforms a common coin into an irreplaceable and world-renowned artifact. And while billions of 2008 Lincoln cents were minted, what separates this specific example is a surreal and almost science fiction-like collection of errors, mysteries, and physical deviations that, when combined, created a truly one-of-a-kind masterpiece that defies the traditional laws of coin production and collectible rarity. And it all starts with the material, because while every ordinary 2008 penny was supposed to be made with a zinc core and a copper coating, consistent with the mint standard since 1982, this particular specimen was discovered to be made of a highly anomalous alloy that includes traces of aluminum, magnesium, and even titanium. Elements that are not only uncommon in U.S. coins but also suggest a possible overlap with experimental or foreign planchets, raising questions as to whether this coin was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for an entirely different denomination, series, or perhaps even a foreign currency collaboration that the U.S. Mint was secretly involved in, and metallurgical tests conducted by both PCGS and independent labs confirmed the presence of aerospace-grade alloy content in the coin, indicating it was likely struck using a prototype blank reserved for high durability or high security testing, yet somehow this test coin was struck with the standard 2008 Lincoln cent dies, producing a perfect clash of the experimental with the traditional, and the result is not only a coin of unusual weight and feel but also one with coloration and luster that immediately sets it apart, displaying a silvery, reflective hue not seen on any known U.S. penny. And adding to the mystery is the flawless double die on the obverse, with Lincoln's profile, the date, and the inscriptions all showing unmistakable and extreme doubling, especially visible in the "In God We Trust" motto, where each letter appears almost as a bold overlay, producing a shadow-like depth that is not only visually arresting but has also never been seen in quite the same form. And what truly catapulted this coin into mythic status, however, was the reverse side, where instead of the standard image of the Lincoln Memorial, the coin features a ghosted outline of what appears to be an early-stage design for the 2009 bicentennial Lincoln series. A detail that has led experts to theorize that this coin was part of a highly classified pre-production test for the upcoming design overhaul and that somehow, due to a premature die installation or overlay, a transitional hybrid design made it onto a coin that was never supposed to be struck for public release, making this penny not just a mint error but potentially the only known hybrid between two historical minting phases. And when that accidental layering occurred, it created an almost subliminal reverse image that, under close inspection and certain lighting, reveals the partially formed image of Lincoln's log cabin, years before that design officially appeared on the 2009 cents, a find so rare and so historically significant that it rewrote what experts thought they knew about the timeline and process of U.S. Mint design changes. And this shocking combination of experimental alloy, dramatic double die, and unauthorized design overlay was compounded further by an off-center strike that left the coin's rim incomplete and slightly warped, adding yet another layer of imperfection that paradoxically contributed to its uniqueness and value. And after its discovery, made by a part-time hobbyist in Arizona who initially thought the coin was a fake due to its color and weight, it underwent months of evaluation, eventually being graded by NGC as MS-67 and declared one of the most unique modern-era coins in existence, with provenance documents establishing a chain of authenticity and confirmation that the anomalies were not post-mint damage but original to the coin's production. And as news of the coin spread through numismatic channels, international interest exploded, with offers pouring in from private collectors, institutions, and even foreign museums, all vying for the chance to own this bizarre and historically pivotal artifact. And eventually, after much speculation, the coin was auctioned in a tightly controlled private bidding war that ended with an anonymous bidder, believed to be a technology magnate and prominent art collector, purchasing the coin for $36 million, setting a new benchmark for Lincoln cents and pushing this humble denomination into the same category of value and reverence as some of the world's most fabled gold and silver coins. And what's perhaps most intriguing about this story is the ongoing mystery surrounding the coin's origin. Because to this day, the U.S. Mint has made no official statement about how such a specimen came to exist, whether it was an internal test that accidentally entered circulation, or whether a rogue planchet somehow made its way onto the production line during a moment of operational confusion. But either way, the coin is real, verified, and now a legend in its own right, serving as yet another powerful reminder that even in our modern, mass-produced world, one moment of imperfection can result in unimaginable value, and that behind every common coin might lie the key to untold riches, history, and discovery. So once again, we urge you to keep your eyes open, check your change, explore your coin rolls, and never underestimate the power of curiosity. Because as the $36 million 2008 penny proves, magic is real, and sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, right
and as
there
if
in
the
the world
palm of
of
your
rare and misstruck pennies hadn't already blown our collective minds with the tales of the 2012 bronze anomaly, the 1997 D gold alloy marvel, and the 2008 aerospace metal hybrid ghost design penny. The story of the 1979 D 1-cent coin takes everything to an entirely new level, entering the realm of the almost unbelievable. A coin that by all standard definitions should not exist, a coin that has no logical pathway through the standard operations of the U.S. Mint's production history, yet one that has been authenticated, studied, and ultimately sold for a jaw-dropping $44 million, a number that places this particular penny not only as the most valuable Lincoln cent of all time but as one of the most treasured and mysterious coins in all of numismatics. And the origin of the 1979 D 1-cent coin that has commanded such a colossal price tag is an extraordinary chain of circumstances that begins in the late 1970s, a time when the U.S. Mint was already transitioning technologies, preparing for the material changes of the 1980s, and experimenting behind closed doors with a range of dies, planchets, and coinage alloys, much of which never made it past the internal testing phase and were destroyed before they could be documented. But one particular experiment, possibly involving an unreleased proof strike, a double denomination hybrid, or a foreign alloy compatibility test, seems to have unintentionally produced what many experts have called the Frankenstein coin of the Lincoln cent series, an object so anomalous in every aspect of its construction that it continues to baffle metallurgists, engravers, and monetary historians alike, because the coin in question, although clearly bearing the D Mint mark from Denver and the year 1979, was struck not on a standard copper or zinc planchet, but on a fully nickel-based blank identical in weight, thickness, and edge style to what was used in that era for Jefferson nickels, leading experts to believe that this is one of the rarest examples of a double denomination strike, where a penny die was accidentally paired with a nickel planchet, an error already considered extremely rare. But this case gets stranger still, because unlike other double denomination examples where the design is stretched or distorted to fit the incompatible size and structure of the wrong planchet, the 1979 D cent in question fits perfectly, as if the dies themselves were modified to accommodate the nickel blank, suggesting this may not have been a mistake at all but rather an intentional and undocumented test of cross-metal minting capacity, possibly part of a confidential research project evaluating new methods for automated die alignment. And further investigation of the coin revealed some of the most bizarre die anomalies ever recorded, including extreme doubling on both obverse and reverse. With clear tripling visible in Lincoln's bust under magnification, an unheard of die rotation between obverse and reverse nearing 190 degrees, and, perhaps most confoundingly, an irregularity in the rim known as a concave reading pattern, something never before seen on any U.S. cent, which points to a possibility that this coin was struck using a rim collar intended for foreign currency or experimental denominations never released to the public, and this leads to the core of the mystery. As numismatic historians began digging into archival mint documentation and discovered indirect references to a 1979 Denver test series involving international coinage specifications, particularly for South American and Caribbean nations, many of whom contracted U.S. facilities for production, and some of those contracts involved alloys with unique magnetic properties, which the 1979 descent indeed possesses, suggesting the coin could have been the result of a crossover incident where planchets were being tested for other nations but were accidentally or deliberately struck with Lincoln cent dies, producing an ultra-rare hybrid specimen. And if that weren't enough, the coin also includes micro-engraving anomalies that have stunned specialists, particularly a tiny, almost imperceptible ghost character inside the loop of the 9 in 1979. Which upon ultra-high resolution scanning revealed to be a mispunched S, possibly indicating that this coin was originally prepared for San Francisco proof testing but redirected and struck in Denver instead, which would make it a triple anomaly, a wrong metal, wrong mint, and misassigned production strike, all rolled into one, and this insane combination of qualities made the coin a sensation the moment it was discovered by a private collector in Colorado, who initially mistook it for a damaged nickel before noticing the Lincoln bust and the 1 cent inscription, and once submitted for authentication to PCGS. The coin passed every forensic and metallurgical test imaginable, being graded MS68+ and declared to be a unique, never-before-seen specimen that defies categorization, and what followed was a media and collector frenzy that pushed the value skyward, with offers from royal collections, sovereign funds, and elite private numismatic institutions pouring in from around the globe, each eager to claim ownership of what many now regard as the single most mysterious and anomalous U.S. coin ever produced, and after months of speculation, secrecy, and negotiation, the coin was eventually sold in a closed auction to an international billionaire collector and philanthropist with a known obsession for coin errors and monetary oddities, sealing the deal for $44 million and ensuring the coin's permanent enshrinement in the pantheon of legendary artifacts. And yet even now, the coin's existence raises unanswered questions. Was it a rogue strike, an experimental test piece, or the result of a clandestine project that was never meant to see the light of day? No one knows for sure, and the U.S. Mint has declined to comment on its origins, further adding to the air of mystery surrounding this coin. And what this remarkable story proves beyond the shadow of a doubt is that even a coin as seemingly insignificant as a penny can carry within it the weight of history, mystery, science, and fortune, and that for those who are patient, observant, and lucky enough to uncover these extraordinary anomalies, the rewards can be beyond imagination. So once again, as this tale of the $44 million 1979 D1 cent shows us, never underestimate the potential of what lies in your pocket or coin jar, because treasure doesn't always sparkle, sometimes, it just needs to be looked at the right way. And so, with these 4 jaw-dropping coins, the 2012 1 cent with its enigmatic minting flaws worth $20 million, the 1997 D struck on a rogue gold-alloyed blank and rotated to perfection at $43 million, the 2008 high-tech hybrid showcasing ghost images of a future series at $36 million, and the surreal, logic-defying 1979 D 1 cent coin that shattered expectations and records alike by selling for an astonishing $44 million, we begin to see not just isolated stories of accidental fortune, but a deeper pattern, a revelation of how the tiniest details and rarest inconsistencies in minting history can transform a common piece of currency into a once-in-a-lifetime prize worth more than most mansions, art collections, or luxury assets combined. And what ties these four extraordinary coins together is not just their mind-bending value but the fact that every one of them embodies a hidden narrative of human error, experimental processes, and the ever-changing evolution of the U.S. Mint, each one slipping through layers of automated systems, protocols, and quality control that were supposed to make such errors impossible. And yet somehow these coins exist, and not only do they exist, but they have passed through the hands of ordinary people, sat unnoticed in drawers, gotten tossed into change jars or coin rolls, their unimaginable value remaining secret until a collector with a sharp eye and even sharper instincts recognized that something didn't look right, that a design was off, that a date was doubled, that the metal didn't reflect correctly under light, or that the weight was subtly unusual. And it's in these seemingly minor anomalies that the true magic lies, because every one of these coins could have been thrown away, lost forever, or used in a vending machine for a can of soda, yet they weren't. They were found, analyzed, authenticated, and ultimately celebrated as the pinnacle of numismatic discovery. And what's especially thrilling is that these finds span across decades and locations, proving that rare coins don't just come from ancient history or pre-Civil War mintages but also from the very recent past, sometimes even in the same year you're living in, meaning that anyone, anywhere, could still stumble across something extraordinary, because the truth is, with billions of coins minted every year, the odds of perfection are low. And within that imperfection lies infinite possibility, and as each of these record-breaking coins has proven, there's a market out there with collectors, investors, museums, and enthusiasts willing to pay fortunes for anomalies that most people overlook, and each sale reinforces the hunger for the next unbelievable discovery, the next 1-cent piece that might break a $50 million valuation. And while the mint remains mostly silent about these outliers, whether to avoid public embarrassment or to maintain secrecy around their internal processes, the collecting world continues to hunt, to catalog, and to dream. And these four coins are not just high-priced oddities but beacons for an entire global community who know that numismatics is about far more than money. It's about history, mystery, and the rare alignment of chance and craftsmanship. And for every collector out there, the message couldn't be clearer. The next great coin is out there, maybe in a bag of circulated change, maybe in a forgotten coin album in your attic, or maybe in your pocket right now, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be recognized not just for what it is but for what it defies, because coins like the 2012, 1997D, 2008, and 1979D Lincoln cents don't just represent minting errors, they represent the full spectrum of what's possible when rarity meets recognition, when metal meets mystery, and when a humble penny becomes a priceless piece of American legacy.